pleased to be joined with Jeff, the founder of Taunt Live, a project that is going on none other than Pools Finance Launchpad here, I believe, at the end of April. We at Crypto Paradise, of course, going to be supporting Taunt throughout their journey. Very pleased to have Jeff on. We're going to be covering the ins and outs of Taunt, the product itself, how it relates to the hot topic of prediction markets, what benefits there are for pre-sale investors, of which there are many, and of course questions around token economics, token utility, all that good stuff. But before we get into that, welcome, Jeff. Why don't you just introduce yourself real quick, how you got into crypto?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll go from there.
Thanks for having me. So my name's Jeff. I'm one of the co-founders of Taunt Live, which is basically what we're building that is the prediction layer for live streaming. One of our taglines is every moment has a market. So our goal, long-term goal, is to really open up prediction markets that can be placed within live streams or opened up directly from live streams, or be surfaced a prediction market that's relevant to a live stream that you're watching at the time. Got into crypto back in 2019, 2020 during the DeFi craze. So did a lot of stuff there. Stayed around crypto. My background's actually in gaming, so was been in gaming for about 20 years. During COVID, I had a chance to actually start my own game studio. Introduce some Web3 elements, blockchain elements to the game. And kind of as we were dabbling with some of the unique pieces of our studio, which all encompass around creating kind of player roles for streaming, we built a bunch of internal tools actually that were kind of made for that. And we, during 23, 24, really started to pivot towards how can we take these tools and productize them for other game developers. And then right around that same time, prediction markets were getting hot. It wasn't really a large turn for us to actually start to think about how we can add value from streaming into live prediction markets. And here we are today, building this prediction market layer for streaming, and kind of on the precipice of our TG in a few weeks.
Yeah, man, excited for the launch of your token. I know you guys have been building for many years now. So talk to me about the product itself. I'm kind of envisioning live betting. You're streaming, you're betting, you're watching streamers, you're betting based on what you're seeing. Is that what it is, or can you maybe explain the product a little bit from the user standpoint?
So I'll kind of explain what it is today versus where like the vision wants to go, in the next 6 months to 12 months. But in general, there's kind of three main components that make up what Taunt Live is. The first part that everybody sees is a light overlay system or platform that can sit over the top of any live video. So that can be in many different form factors. Right now, what we're using is basically an overlay that sits on like any website. So think about, you put a YouTube video up and it can just sit right on top of the YouTube video frame, so it doesn't intrude on the video but sits around the video, and that can live on a website. The second form factor that we already have in market is a Google extension, Chrome extension. So think about, you download the Chrome extension from the Google Store, the Google Play Store, and our Taunt Live extension then can sit on any video that you're watching at any point. Snap to it, you can see prediction markets that kind of pop up. From that perspective, that can also be white label branded as well, for any partner that wants or creator that wants kind of a more unique experience to their community. So that's kind of the piece that everybody sees. Under the hood, there's two components. The first main component is the AI component. So in essence, the AI is kind of taking in all that content, and then for the viewer deciding on what type of prediction markets would make sense to surface here. So for example, if you're watching a sports game, or a basketball game, you would see sports markets being presented to you around the game you're watching. If you are watching crypto finance, you might see 15-minute Bitcoin markets that are surfacing kind of in real time. So our goal is to kind of get it into a more contextual, almost experience around prediction markets while you're watching live video, and it's not intrusive at that point. And then the third piece to this is a data portion, which actually encompasses the blockchain, right? So on the blockchain side, while this is all happening, we're recording um, predictions people are making, how long somebody's watching a certain video, if they're participating in free-to-play prediction contests, and what they're answering. Why this kind of that piece kind of matters is that once we have that data layer there, then the AI can pick that up and start to become smarter in terms of other prediction markets that it can surface and other prediction markets that make sense to the user. Because at the end of the day, it's really about engagement and getting people to watch that content for a longer period of time and getting more value for the content creator who's kind of putting that out there. If that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense knowing that if you just think about sports gambling and sports betting and what happens when you yourself have
Right.
skin in the game. You're watching a basketball game. Maybe it's two low tier teams you would otherwise care nothing about, but all of a sudden you got money on that game and you're
Right.
locked in. So you could definitely envision a world in which all these games have live prediction markets sort of embedded in them, powered
Mm-hmm.
by Taunt. Now I'm incentivized to place bets. Maybe the AI is giving me hints or suggestions on bets. I'm not sure. And then now I'm
Right.
completely into the game. I'm
Right.
glued to this thing. And that to me seems like a very big product and probably something that the likes of DraftKings
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whomever else
Yeah,
would love to get a piece of
absolutely. And
that.
then where we want to take it, right? After, that's kind of the surface level kind of vision and what we have like kind of operating today. But where we want to take it in the future is, is this idea, where, I spent time at Amazon for a while, and, you know, was very in tune of what was kind of going on in at Twitch and things like that. But in general, the streaming world is very very hard to monetize, right? So like it's like one percent of 1% is making all the money in streaming from the creator standpoint and things like that. But there's lots of rabid communities that kind of sit in the middle and the long tail around, and they're prevalent in their content they're making. But in general, where we want to kind of take this product is there's billions and billions and billions of hours of content that are sitting out there that are streamed, that are untouched from a monetization perspective. But in general, like what would happen if we could take this kind of model and technology that we have and turn any live streaming to its own mini prediction market? So if we were talking today, right? What if we were talking today and there was an over under on how many times we said combined the word prediction? Would it be 15? Would it be 16? Would it be 13? And a live prediction market could actually surface during that content. We believe that would make the content actually much more engaging and would give people opportunities to from the creator standpoint to kind of monetize their audience in a value add type of way, right? Same content, frame sits around it, but that's really cool stuff. And you can obviously put that on sports and crypto finance and things like that we're talking about. But what I think is interesting is just even in kind of lifestyle content or content we're doing, informational content we're doing right now, where very interesting things can be, we could put markets on and make it much more engaging. And it doesn't need to be for money, right? It doesn't need to be like, oh, I got to put $1 in. It could be free to play games. It could be leaderboard based games. It could be for merchandise, a way to give away merchandise, from just an engagement perspective. So the cool thing of all of this is our tech that we're running. Yes, it's there today for dollar in, dollar out for prediction markets and stuff like that. But that data and that AI set can be used just for engagement mechanics in general, and that opens up a wider base for creators to use the technology more so than as a reward base other than money.
It's a great point. Yeah, I'm interested in this for Crypto Paradise. How many times is Crypto Amaro going to say hold
Right, right.
Bitcoin, per stream? I mean, it's going to be pretty fun. And then you're right. You don't have to necessarily give away money. People will work for
Right, exactly.
badges. They'll work for clout. They'll going
Mm-hmm.
up a leaderboard, which is a really good point to make. So I think, man, sky's the limit with this technology. That leads my next question. when can people start playing around with it? When is it going to be launched? Kind of in a beta form.
Yeah,
When can we
great
get
question.
going
So
on something
we're
like this?
live. Our alpha is live now. So you can learn more at tauntlive.com. And we're running 3 free-to-play prediction contests a day. So right now it's part of our airdrop program. As you're earning our kind of our in-game currency, those will be, you can trade those later down the road for our Taunt token as part of that. We're really scaling up marketing now, giving prizing away every single day. So you can learn more about on the pool's Twitter as well as ours as our content schedule kind of rolls out, and we add more hours of content every single day. And then as time goes on, and we start to kind of talk about more of our partners, we have from the prediction platform side have integrated Limitless. So there's live predictions running right now from Limitless as you're kind of watching the content first surfacing. So that's our first partner. We have some other great partners that we're going to roll out, in the next couple of weeks that we're going to talk about, at some point here. At a really really large scale, so we're really excited about that. But yeah, like the cool thing is, that I think you referenced, we've been building this a long time, so we're pretty far down the road. We're pretty proud of what we've built, and we're excited about the vision of where we're taking it over the next 6 months to 12 months.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit, especially when it comes to partnership. Because if you think about the interests of, say, a Polymarket or Calci, I mean, they want
Absolutely.
users. They want more adoption. Of course, every product does. And if you become kind of this engagement layer that almost incentivizes more usage of these, prediction platforms, that could be very powerful from a partnership standpoint. So I don't know if that's in fact happening. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I could definitely see a product like this, which increases engagement, increases just prediction market volumes generally. Yeah, that could be a very popular product for a lot of these, big players in that
Absolutely.
sector. So, good potential here. Whenever I think of some of an investor standpoint, you think, okay, what is it at today, and then where can it be in 6, 12 months? So I think a lot of potential with the likes of Taunt Live here. All right, so why don't we switch gears a bit from the product to the
Absolutely.
token side, because we know we're going on pool. This is going on pools, other launch pads. It's going to be going on major centralized exchanges, dexes as well. I think in I don't know, a month or so from now. Tell us about the token utility, and maybe we can ask also about the
Absolutely.
valuations too at
Absolutely.
some
Yeah.
point.
So in terms of utility, it's going to be our main token for everything you do on Taunt Live. So entering free-to-play contests, entering rewards for contests. There is a governance angle to it as well in terms of product roadmap pieces and things like that. There's other things we'll announce in a couple weeks around how kind of its usage and what it's going to do, what it's going to be there. We're also going to use it to incentivize developers to come in and build using the technology, and streamers and content creators as well. So we expect relatively strong, stable partners to come on post TGE to help us get the message out of what we're going to do from our standpoint. But in general, we'll have a little bit more on the utility, over the next few weeks. But I do think there is some unique pieces that we're looking in terms of utility angles, both on more on the communities building side that we've built into the platform that will roll out in general. But we'll have more information about utility in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, cool. I mean, fundamentally, I think what you always want to see around utility is, as the platform product is gaining adoption, the users have to use the token, or at least heavily incentivized to use the token in some way, shape, or form. So unlocking features, accessing features, getting
Yeah,
discounts on things. And then, of course, the holy grail is, it's called the hyperliquid model. the revenue that's get made is put back in the token in some way, shape, or form. That's also a
Yeah,
very important component. It sounds like you'll be
absolutely.
announcing
And
more around the
we're
utility
looking at
sector.
all of those things. The beauty of what we have on our end is that, because our roots are in gaming, you know, the platform itself, I would argue, is probably from a quote unquote gamified um, perspective done really really well in terms of how we're going to use the token and how it brings value back into the ecosystem in general. So I think we have a pretty good idea on how this is going to land. Again, there's things we're gonna learn in real time and stuff like that. But because we are playing, in different, for lack of a better term, we have different outlets of where the token specifically can go, both on a free to play, almost like game side, in terms of our prediction contest that we're running on a monthly basis, and then in the real world, right, to make real predictions and stuff like that. And then we have, like I said, actual prediction market partners who can potentially intake the token as well. There's there's lots of syncs we can kind of look at. But yeah, I'm excited to talk more about that down the road. Again, it's, we don't want to inundate kind of too much with where, we want to take the token, and we really want to focus on the product first. But in general, I think we have a pretty good skeleton to go off of, and I think everybody's going to be happy to hear about it.
Yeah, I kind of liken that to like the B&B model. I mean, if the listeners recall, when B&B was first launched, its only utility was you hold it within Binance to get discounts. And then as Binance evolved and grew and deployed various products and had their own chain and so on and so forth, all of a sudden the utilities multiplied. So I always look at utility as almost a
Yeah,
mindset. It's like we know we're not going to have all the utilities day one, but as products develop, as things evolve, we're going to look to add utilities incorporated into everything that we do. So as long as you have that mindset, I think you guys should be fine. I think you'll do well. So kind of on that note, um, so look, the token will be available in a pre-sale. I believe it is the
yeah,
public sale round on the Pools launchpad, among other launchpads. I know you're doing something very interesting, unique, and say beneficial for everyone who participates in the IDOs, and that is around. Are you calling it the pack? I don't know. Remember exactly what you're calling. It's kind of a group
yeah,
prediction
absolutely.
thing. Talk to us about the pack a little bit, and how does it benefit
Yeah,
the early
absolutely.
investors?
It's funny that the pack came up one late night when the team was thinking about, how do we get maximum value out of our farm. That was, but again, we've been building for so long. We dust off. We're finally at the TGE time. It's like, oh well, we have this, allocation for, a normal staking farm that's, sitting here. And coming from that world, starting that, like we talked about earlier in my roots, you put up a farm, 5-6 years ago, put up an APY that it's attractive, and that's enough to hold, token interest and stuff like that. Obviously today it's a different environment, right? And so we're looking at ways to kind of, how can we integrate the product into how the farm works, and how can we bring value back specifically to the IDO buyers in this environment, to where they're getting enough value to where it makes sense um, to stick with the project long term, right? And so we came up with this idea of basically, it's called the pack, and there's going to be lots of more information. We're probably going to beat this into everybody's head, or over the next 4 to 6 weeks, the value of the pack. But basically, what the pack is basically a prediction syndicate that you get access to as long as you're staking Taunt tokens in our farm. In essence, depending on the amount you're staking and things like that. Just like in the farm, if you stake more, you're going to get more rewards. In the pack, the more you stake, the more the bigger your share of the community prediction syndicate rewards are. So in essence, how it works is you stake your tokens in the farm, you're earning your normal stake. While this is happening, between 1 and 3 times a week, the protocol will put up the money to make a community prediction on behalf of the pack. So This is completely outside of your stake. If you win, if the community wins, everybody splits the winnings pro rata, based on how much you have kind of staked into, into the farm. If they lose, it's on the protocol, right? So, and then we'll roll that to the next week, right? We'll give you three options to you kind of make a prediction on. Community votes. They win, they keep the winnings. They lose, it's on us. We roll to the next week. So as long as you're staked into our farm, you get access to the pack. And we look at it as almost a value add APY that is added, that's added to all the stakers, and all the stakers who are in the farm, then the normal farm, and then to all the early adopters of the actual token. The coolest part of this whole thing is, in terms of the IDO holders, is if you choose to stake for the maximum allotted time, which I believe is 6 months, we call it a free roll. So in essence, we believe you will recoup your IDO stake, no problem. And if you don't, we cover it. The protocol covers it.
That's pretty cool, man. Very innovative. I like how it's tied directly to the core narrative of Taunt,
Yeah.
which is predictions,
Mm-hmm.
prediction markets, right? And kind of layers built into and on top of that. It also incentivizes and benefits the IDO buyers who can participate in this, early buyers who can participate in this. It's almost like a hedge. You can participate in prediction markets. If you win, great. If you lose, the protocol is going to cover the loss, and then they'll take another bet. I guess the curious, interesting thing about this initiative or structure, those three options that you're presenting in the pack. How do you decide those? Who decides those? Because we want you to win. I mean, right? I'm going to be an investor in this. Pools people, investors in this. We'll encourage folks to join the pack if they want to. We want the bets to be winning bets. How are you going to head in that direction
It's
of being a
community
winner?
vote, right? So the community will vote on it in a smart contract. They can take their pick, and this is the part I love the most. It's great for the community. They can talk about the picks. They can figure out how they want to do it. Everybody can have their opinion. I don't know if you've ever done this, but some of my most fun times I've ever had in my life is playing blackjack with 5 buddies, or playing slots with 5 buddies, and everybody puts in $100, and we're sharing the winnings. Very similar concept, but the idea is everything will be on via a smart contract, and we'll let them pick, right? If for whatever reason, again, like for whatever reason, if the community wants to take a moonshot, go for it and take a moonshot. But my assumption is everybody's going to want to take a little bit more larger favorites, so they can access those stables. Again, the key part to this is you're getting paid in stables every week, right? That you're in the pack, right? So we're not paying in our native token. You're getting paid in stables. So like I said, if you're as long as you're staking, you're getting access to stables. If as long as you win the bet or the prediction every single week, it's a fun thing to do. And for us, which is the most important thing, is it's something that can help, hopefully, in this environment, alleviate some concerns around supporting a project, which is a key thing for us, is getting people to actually see and feel the project, because we do think it's going to be one of the largest token launches of this year, of 26.
Well, one thing that does, the pack, is it creates that feeling of community and kind of a bond with the project and bond with each other, because you can just envision that where you're in your little subgroup with your pack members. I think there's gonna be like 4 or
Yep.
5 different packs
Yep.
based on your
Yep.
token holdings, so you kind of separate into groups. You can make friendships within there, but you're gonna be able to debate. Should we do this
Yep.
bet? Should we do that bet? Why? Why is this team a favorite? No, I think we should bet the underdog here. I read the injury report that this, the starting center is going to be out today. Whatever it is, but it creates that
Absolutely.
camaraderie that I think we're missing in crypto right now. I mean, crypto, sadly, within the at least the depths of the pump fund trenches, there's no
No.
community element anymore. It's just bots and high frequency traders, essentially, trying to scalp and extract money from one another. There's no, like, back in the day, you used to rally around something, believe in something, hold something. My hope is that with what you guys are building, it kind of creates that camaraderie naturally, which will then engender some holding, which we definitely need
Yeah,
right now in this market.
absolutely, absolutely. And then it goes back to like at least we believe this is a mechanic again that allows people to at least give the project, a chance to be exposed to a quality project, right? Maybe that hope, again starts to reignite in some of these things because we know everybody knows it's been a rough couple of years, right? For the industry and whatnot, but we've been around the whole time, right? We were at the highs. We started during the highs. We've been through the trenches. We've been through it feels like 3 different bear markets, right? But in general, we feel like this is something that's worth paying attention to and supporting. And so we hope this takes some of that angst away. The pack takes some of that angst away from people who are a little bit unsure. And again, we're going to beat this message over everybody's head for the next 4 to 6 weeks because we do believe it's a mechanic that almost makes it the prediction earnings based on the community's accuracy really makes it a free roll for the community, especially the IDO holders.
Yeah, who knows? This could be the start of a big new innovation or trend within, we may call it
Yeah,
DeFi or prediction markets, whatever, this group betting concept. Who knows? I mean, you think of all the innovations back in DeFi summer, they all
yeah,
started somewhere. They all started somewhere, so why not couldn't this be the next big thing? So wishing you the best on the pack. I think that's very exciting. Looking forward to being a part of that. Hopefully there's some smart gamblers in my
yeah.
group that can steer us in the right direction. Because I'm not too good
Yeah,
at it
guys,
as far as as far
if
as
I'm in your
I
pack
believe
group, you don't
anyway.
want to listen to me based on my historical. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You
yeah,
gotta get some sharks. You got some gambling
yeah.
pros in your pack. But really cool concept, man. All right, before we conclude this, any final thoughts? I guess we got the pools sale coming up. I believe it's a 30 million FDV. There's pretty reasonable vesting on that. The token, I believe, is launching at
Mhm.
50 million, if I'm not mistaken. Those are somewhat high numbers. I mean, you're building something pretty expansive and has potentially big. What's what's the reason behind the token economics, and then what's your non-financial advice as to where you think things can go with the
Yeah,
token?
great question. I think you know, again with the tech we have built in the market we're playing with right now, with the partnerships that we have, like with pools and with a bunch of other ones we haven't announced yet, um, with the AI angle that we do believe will kind of transform a lot of not only the prediction market pieces, but thinking of like I think you nailed it, earlier when you started using prediction market mechanics on the engagement side for streamers. I think if you combine all of that, we're actually our valuations under what it is comparatively to other tokens that have launched with just, for example, AI components, right? And so, we put a lot of thought into how this is kind of, how this valuation, would happen. And, again, we have some information that, the more so the public will get privy to here shortly. But, we do believe like it's a huge value at 30 million. It's a huge value at 50 million. But, based on, what the market is out there in terms of other companies, but there aren't anybody who's really looking at it like we're really looking at it, from our perspective, but just straight AI companies or prediction market companies. We do have some other gaming products that are pumping players into our ecosystem as well that we started with. If you combine all of that, we believe it's a really fair valuation.
Yeah, I mean, the way I always look at valuations is, first of all, product is the potential there big for it to grow. It has good upside. Secondly, current status of early adopters, which I believe you have early adopters on at least earlier permutations of the product, maybe even the present one. Also, the narrative, and you have that intersection of prediction markets, AI, kind of a B2C play, but also there's B2B elements with big partnerships you can announce. And then it's also going to come down to some of the centralized exchanges, things like
Sure.
market making. I mean, the nuts and bolts of liquidity and volume and stuff. But I think, yeah, given what you said, The valuations seem pretty reasonable, but of course, if anyone's considering to invest, you got to do your own research, understand the pros, the cons, the risks, the rewards, etc., and put in what you're willing to lose, as we always like to say in crypto. Um, but to me, it sounds, you guys have been building for 3 years. I think you have something pretty cool here, ready to get out to the market, and we're wishing you the best, man.
Thanks for having us. I'm sure we know we'll have a bunch more of these before TG, so appreciate you having us here for the first time. But I think as you guys kind of see, the next conversations, and you'll kind of see these things pieced together. But I think everybody's gonna be pretty happy with where we think we're gonna land.
Yeah, man, looking forward to your launch. Definitely give Taunt Live a follow on X. It's going on Pool's launch pad quite soon, I believe end of April, so keep an eye out for that as well over at Pools. We'll be doing more content around Taunt here at Crypto Paradise. As we always say, guys, we'll see you on the beach.